So good to see everybody. I'm so sorry for this very late start. I was online and on Facebook, and my computer was just frozen, and I just kept, trying to get back into it, and it wasn't moving. So thank you for bearing with me. Oh, it's so good to see everyone joining. Welcome to Clarity with Claire. And this week, we're going to be talking about how to ask for what you want and get it. So part one of this. And with this, we're going to be discovering this 4-step system, and that's going to help, show you how to ask for what you really want and get it. So it's going to help you, so that you can be supported by family, by spouses, by partners and friends and coworkers, and just, more on this, so that on this journey, it's easier for you to ask for what you want. And we're also going to uncover how to live the truth of who you are and how to stay connected to your loved ones. So how to ask for what you want and get it. It sounds so simple, but so many of us, this is not easy. This is something that I am working on all the time for myself. Whew, it's very loaded. And why is that? So we're going to break it down for a second. There are two, so cool to see everyone joining. There are two parts to this statement, and they are asking for what you want and getting it. So let's start with the concept. Hey, Greg, so good to see you. Tavia. So let's start with the concept that you do, in fact, have to ask for what you want. So it's easy to be really in denial about this. Like, it's tempting to think, so-and-so, my husband or my wife or my friend should just know what I want. And, so-and-so should be responsible for giving it to me without having, me having to say a word. I'm guilty of this. I often think people should know what I want. And it's such a great fantasy. But, that there's a person out there, people out there who can read your mind and, know exactly what you want before even you do, and, deliver it to you perfectly. And, that's not so much true for men as it is for women. Generally, women have more issue asking for what they want. Not all the time, but according to Regina Thomas Hauer in her book, The Mama Gina School of Womanly Arts, she says, hi, Leah. We're talking about how to ask for what you want and get it. And for people, but especially women, I think this is a good topic, but people in general. So Mama Gina says, in our culture, men are usually brought up to feel right about themselves, about what they want. They're taught to identify and to pursue their dreams. But women don't know how to call forth their desires. And when they do appear, they don't know how to recognize them or voice them. And those of us with truly buried appetites, who here has ever had like a buried appetite? We'll go into that, but you kind of know what I mean, where it's like, those with truly buried appetites get mad when someone asks them what they want. Have you ever had someone go, well, what do you want? And you're like, I don't know. And you almost get kind of mad because having that permission to ask for what you want almost, I don't know, it just seems unattainable, and it kind of makes you angry. So the example she gives in her book is the man says, where do you want to go for dinner? And the woman says, or quietly fuming, she says, why are you asking me? Why don't you already know? Why don't you just take me somewhere I want to be? So, and he says, oh my God, I'm sorry, as he wonders, I'm reading this for the 1,000th time, what women really want and how the hell he's supposed to figure that all out. Hey, Deborah. We're talking about how to ask for what you want and get it. And if you are just joining, say hi, type into the chat, type in, what a word that you're checking in with today. It could be I'm sleepy, I'm hungry, or I'm feeling energized, or I want to, maybe an intention. I want to bring presence to this group. So type in your intention. And also, if you have something that you want that you'd like to ask for. Hi, Deborah. Okay, so when we expect others to read our minds, who has done that? If you've ever expected someone to read your mind, as if like, you should know what I want, type me in the chat, because I've done that so many times. When we expect others to read our minds and just, take us somewhere else we want to be, we're in effect denying our own desires and our own appetites. And we're expecting someone else to take that responsibility for our own happiness and satisfaction. Woo. So when we deny our appetites and our desires, they tend to find their way out in anger and frustration. So like, or worse, our appetites can turn against us in the forms of overeating or over-medicating or over-drinking or other addictive behaviors. So according to Mama Gina, who we just read from, when women find an appetite they can express in a socially acceptable way, they go wild. So check out bulimia, anorexia, not exactly, male problems, but it's they are an appetite. So in the journey you're going to, make throughout your life, what you're endeavoring to do is to take ownership of your appetites and your desires. And if this sounds interesting to you, type me into the chat. Hey, Kathy! We're talking about how to ask for what you want and get it today. You're also, taking personal responsibility for everything that you experience in every area of your life, instead of making others responsible for you. Who here has ever done that? Making another person responsible for you or hoping that they would solve your issues? Me, a million times. So why is that important though? Because taking personal responsibility is one of the keys to experiencing the freedom you want to experience, both in your life and in your career. So like when you're dependent on others to suss out who you are and what you want, you're creating the experience of never knowing if you're going to be fulfilled or not. It's not something I want. I've been there a lot. And that creates, really strong feelings of anxiety and worry. Will they allow me to be who I am or have what I want or even, to want what I want? These feelings are the exact opposite of what we're looking to create, for ourselves and, in our loved ones. So we want to create feelings of freedom, of peace, of fulfillment, of satisfaction. And that's not possible when we place our ability to get what we want and need in the hands of others. I am thinking of so many times I've done this in my life, putting my, what I need in the hands of others. It never works. So here's the paradigm shift where, I'm asking you, we're asking each other to embrace as we talk this week. We are the creator of our own experience. You are the creator of your own experience. You get to create any experience that you want. Therefore, in order to change, for change to occur in your life, change first has to happen within you. Yeah, you've heard that saying before, transformation begins with you. If this is resonating, put a heart into the chat or a little rainbow or say a word. Transformation begins with you. So many of us and many of my clients are tempted to say things like, well, if he would change, I could be happy. Or, if my mother would just do X, I could do what I want. Or, if my kids would just blank, then I'd be able to do blank. If my partner would just blank, then I could move forward. If my boss stopped blank, then I could be happy. If this, if my health coach could do this blank, then I could make progress. I don't know. But we make those blanks in our lives, those ultimatums, like as if we're waiting for someone else. In all these statements, we're waiting for someone else to change before we can be or do or have what we want. It's going to be a long wait. I'm learning the painful way even now. So nothing changes until you change. Aww. All these things. Yes, Leah. I know Leah says, I just want someone to tell me what I want. Yep. I felt that way often, she says. Yep. Deborah put a heart into the chat. Thank you. So nothing changes until you change, until I change. And you can't change anyone else, just yourself. So the first step in asking for what you want in this 4-step system that I'm sharing with you today, only the 2 parts we're going to do today. Next time we'll do the other 2. Step 1 is accept and embrace personal responsibility for your desires and your appetites in every area of your life. So you are the creator of your results and your reality. It feels so good, right? So once you've accepted and embraced your personal responsibility, then the next step to take is, number 2, answer honestly for yourself the question, what do you want? This is trickier than it looks. On the outside, it's a really simple question, but in truth, this is the number 1 hard question for most people, including myself, and my clients to answer. Why is that? So in order to talk about what you want, we have to dive deeper into the concepts of desire and appetite in your relationship to both. Okay, do you remember how a couple weeks ago we talked about desire and appetite, and we talked about the Adam and Eve story? And Eve is told, eat from the Garden of Eden, but not that sweet, pleasurable fruit over there. But Eve wants the apple. She has an appetite, a desire, a hunger for the apple. Of course. And nope, don't eat that apple. So what does Eve do? She takes a bite of the apple, fulfilling her appetite. Who here knows this story? Type me into the chat if you do. Fulfilling her desire, and she is shamed for it. So, you are bad and wrong. You are cast out of the garden. So she puts the apple back and says, I promise I'll never do it again. And so archetypically, anytime women in particular desire something, we feel this deep shame and guilt. Guilt for doing something bad and shame for doing something bad. And that means that indulging in our appetite means that we did something bad and we are bad. And who has ever felt that? If you're indulging like, oh, I'm going to do this just today is for myself, even if it's Mother's Day or something, and today is, you're supposed to go to the spa and relax. How many of you have ever felt guilty when it's like you're indulging in something? There's like a guilt, or you feeling like that you're bad. Yeah. So if that ever happens, raise your hand in the chat, and if you have any questions throughout this, type it into the chat. I'm so happy to be with you guys. So you can hear this concept of, I am bad when I'm indulging in something that I want, in my appetite, my desire. You can hear this in the way women talk about certain foods. For example, have you ever heard someone say, like, I ate a brownie today. I was so bad. That way in which, we as women fear our appetites, fear our desires. So we see them as something dangerous, something that must be controlled, and something that must be tamed. And yet an appetite is actually the thing that keeps us alive. So if we didn't have one, we wouldn't know to eat. And if we didn't eat, we'd die. So appetite is a biological imperative. And one that we fight with every fiber of our being. I'm not going to listen to my appetite. If I open up and really experience my full appetite, the fear is there will be no end to what I want, to devour. My appetite will cause destruction. Who here has ever feared that if they really gave into their appetite, oh my God, they would just eat everything? Or maybe they might, I don't know, just, who knows, like flirt with every single person in sight if you are getting in touch with your sexual appetite. I mean, who knows what might happen? There's that fear of, if I really let it out, what will happen? It's the very thing that gives us life, we're making a cause of death, emotionally speaking. Shut that down. So society enforces women's collective fear of desires and appetites. If you love sex, you're a whore. If you love food, you're a glutton. You'll get fat. You'll suffer, which for women, there's like no worse thing in our culture. If you love money, you're greedy. You're a terrible, terrible person. So the question is, what do you want? What do you want is not a simple question at all. It's a loaded question. Who here knows what they want? Or who here in this chat right now? And if you're watching this later in the replay, type in all these, responses to these, what I'm saying. Who here knows what they want, or maybe is afraid to know what they want? Yeah. Yeah, Deborah's making a thumbs up. Please raising her hand. Leah says, I'm scared I'd start flirting with trees. Me too. Who knows what I would do, right? So yeah, it's a question that we found so many ways to dance around and avoid taking responsibility, like taking ourselves out of what we really want, using justifications like, well, I didn't really want that much anyway, or, now's not the right time, or, me being happy would take away from others. Who here has ever done that? Use that justification to kind of shield you from getting what you want. So, oh no, the cost would be too great, or it would cost me dearly. A lot of my clients, we talk about this, of what blocks them from getting what they want. It's this, or there's the belief of, I have to suffer to get what I want, and I'm just not worth it. I've had that one, or another one is, it's okay for other people, but, it's just not meant for me to have my desires in this lifetime. I'm just too old, I've gotten that before with clients. Or I'm too young. People won't take me seriously. Or desire is selfish. If I get what I want, then someone else will lose out. I've had that one a lot in my life. So I'm working through all this. Remember, I am not preaching to you. I'm saying this for myself. Not acknowledging our desires, even to ourselves. You could be blocking it by not acknowledging your desires. You could say, I don't want anything. I'm fine. Or my desires are an imposition to others. Or my desires would be a burden to someone else. Who here has used that excuse? If I get what I want, it'll be a burden to someone else. Or, I don't have the right or the need to want because, others have it worse. All of these are big for me. And then also we can look out to outside sources for permission to have what we want or what we allow them to be the decision makers of our lives, We call these in my health coaching program the human shields. So like, who here has used human shields? I'm going to go into it, but I can't because of my kids, or I can't because of my spouse, or I can't because of my partner or my boss. I can't because of my parents. I can't because of the healthcare field, that I'm in, or I can't because of the regulatory bodies, what will my husband or my wife or my partner or my children or my parents or my friends think of me if I share my true desires or get them, But if I get my desires, what will they think? What if my partner or spouse, will they allow me to take, to have what I want or to pursue this career, if you want a career? Who here has had any of these thoughts before? Yeah. Hey, Carlos. Yes. Deborah says it's a protective mechanism to say we really don't want it. That's it. Yeah. Who else has done that where it's like, oh, I don't really want it. You're hoping for it, but you don't really want it, and you're already kind of shutting it down before you can even want it. It's like you're already mourning it. Who here has ever mourned something before you even got it? You're like, because you're afraid to lose it, right? Leah says, right, like, I'm fine. So, great. And then there's also money shields. Like, we'll go into all these money beliefs later in different Facebook Lives. Like, I don't have to get what I want. I don't get to have what I want because I haven't achieved some level of status or income yet. Who's ever had that one? Or if I had the money, then I could, that I could blank, versus what am I willing to do to create the money? There's that flip. That's more empowering. So often we automatically assume that we won't get to have what we want. So, before we even allow ourselves to fully want something, we grieve it, we feel sad about it, that we'll never be able to have it, and then it's gone, or we'll get preemptively disappointed without even trying to go for what we want. We already were just disappointed. We haven't even tried. I've done this so many times, and it's so painful to feel like, we can't get what we want, that we deny wanting it in the first place. And it happens so subtly. You may even deny that you've denied your desire. How many desires are you denying right now? I'm working on myself. It's a lot. So when we shut down our desires, we close off the opportunity to connect with our power and feel our wholeheartedness, feel wholeheartedly fulfilled, which is part of our life purpose, to feel wholeheartedly alive and fulfilled. And the heartbreaking thing is that so much is available and people want so little, so much is right here. We're living in a Garden of Eden. So I want to suggest a new way to see our desires and our appetites. Are you ready? If you're ready, type ready into the chat. So what if your desires and your appetites were actually pointing you in the direction of your life's purpose? So what if your appetites and your desires were the golden key that opens up the experience of fulfillment and satisfaction and aliveness and freedom that you're searching for? So I don't know if you've heard of John Eldredge. He's the author of the best-selling book Wild at Heart, and he says, absolutely nothing of human greatness is ever accomplished without desire. Not a symphony has been written, a mountain climbed, an injustice fought, or a love sustained apart from desire. Desire fuels our search for the life we prize. So cool. So if any of this is resonating with you right now, yeah, good. Hey, Jim. Wonderful. I'm looking at all this. Yep. Hey, Haley. Yeah, Leah says money is a big one for me. Yep, money mirrors, the way we feel about money. We'll get into all that later because often it's just blocking. If you're not having the money you want, it's just because we're blocking it in some way. Isn't that fascinating? So Leah says, I feel like I'm average, so I don't deserve to have money and abundance. Yep, yep. These are just beliefs. We can switch them like that, you know, often in 90 days. That's why we do 90-day programs. Yeah, so great. So wonderful. So to recap, we've covered the 2 steps so far in our 4-step system to have how to ask for what you want and get it. So they are, step number 1 is to accept and embrace personal responsibility for your desires and appetites in every area of your life. So you are the creator of your results and your reality. I'm the creator of my results and my reality. Step 2, answer honestly for yourself the question, what do you want? You know, what do you want? It could be something, if you really sit quietly, it could be something that sounds ridiculous at first, like, I want to live in Paris. I don't know why, I just really want it. I've always wanted it. You know, it could be something you've never even allowed yourself to feel. Get in touch with that. We can get in touch with that inner child part where it makes no sense, but just sit with it. So yeah, so after this session, right now, we're gonna wrap this up. You can start to maybe journal, you know, what is it that you want? You know, what's not perfect in your life? You know, you could say like, I would like to be closer to my husband or my wife, and that's not at all to say, I'm not, you know, honey, there's a problem. It's literally, you could be having the best marriage ever and say, I want more, you know? Remember we talked about appetite last week and how, you know, wanting more isn't a sign that there's something wrong. It's just life is about getting bigger all the time and growing and wanting more. That's how you know you're growing. And when we suppress it, we're dead. So think about, what do you want more of? You know, if you want more love and cuddly and affection with your spouse, get it. That doesn't mean anything is wrong. It means you just want more. So if you have a feeling that you know what you want right now, or who, type that into the chat. Either you know either what you want, or if you just know what you want, you can type know into the chat, N-K-N-O-W. Oh my God, spelling. Yeah, and if you are ready to honestly answer the question for yourself, what do you want? Type me into the chat, or, you know, ready into the chat. So amazing job today, you guys. I'm so proud of all of this amazing work that you're doing, this just inner work. And every week that we meet, it's 7:30 on Tuesdays. Normally it's 7:30, except I was having computer issues today. Thank you so much for joining me. And if if you're watching the replay, just, you know, leave comments and let me know you're watching. And if you or anyone you know is looking for a free 30-minute health coaching session, just to see if, you know, coaching with me would be a good fit, yeah, just message me and I would love to begin on that journey with you. So can't wait. I will see you next week, and amazing job, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Bye.